Hello?
Hello.
I don't think this is on. Hello? Hello? You can hear me back there? Good. You gonna check yours out. I think Chuck tested them, so I think you're in good shape.
Hi.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
All right, are we ready? All right, let's get started. It's 9 o'clock. Good morning. It is a small but mighty crowd today, right? Thank you for coming. For those who don't know me, I'm Sean Bluebaum. I'm the project executive for Sundt for all of the Royal Oaks campus expansion. And I brought with me Sarah Nicholas.
Hi, I'm Sarah Nicholas. I'm a field engineer for Sundt. I've been here for the last 3 years.
Yeah, so Sarah was the first three people out here were myself, Todd, and Sarah. So she's one of the original folks, and she's going to talk to you. She just pushed Vita Center across the finish line. That's been her main assignment. So I'll let her talk a little bit about that, and then Sarah is off to her next assignment in a few weeks, and so I want to make sure and bring her back here to talk to you guys one more time. It's your second time?
Yeah, this
Third?
is my second.
Second? Okay. All right. So lots of exciting stuff to talk about this month as these buildings really get close to the finish line. This is the rendering of what they are supposed to look like, and this is what they look like as of less than a week ago. This was taken on Friday. So pretty darn close. We have right now, these two buildings are open. These two buildings are open. This building's open. Vita Center is, from a construction standpoint, open, and then we're still working on the last couple buildings there, the 4-story. So we'll go through our usual agenda. We'll start with a safety share. We'll watch the drone video, give a little project overview, some photos, and answer any questions you guys might have. So from a safety share standpoint, um, I wanted to do something. Everybody does heat this time of year, right? Because it's hot as blazes outside. Uh, but being that we've been doing this presentation for a while, we've done heat a couple of times. And so I want to do something related, but not exactly the same. So my son is a lifeguard for the city of Chandler, and he's been working the past couple days. And so it got me thinking, he's like a construction worker out in the sun all the time, and they do a rotation of like 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off, and they rotate stations and things. And so I started looking at the data on that as far as other than just hydration, other things that you should be doing during the heat. And one of the things is struggling to gain ground in the construction industry is that we should be rotating our construction workers out of the heat at least once an hour for like 15 minutes as well. Now that struggles because that means that's 15 minutes that those workers aren't putting in production work, right? And everybody in construction is very schedule based and things like that. But the data actually says, I found this online. Um, the data actually says that once it gets above 110, you should be working for 15 minutes and resting for 45. And the best part is down here, the assumptions. Workers are physically fit, well rested, fully hydrated, under age 40, and the environment has 30% humidity. Nobody out there falls into that category, probably, or very few. And that's for light, what they consider light work. If you get into the moderate and the heavy category, it basically says once you get past 105 degrees, you shouldn't really be out there working. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Really not.
Sean, we sh- We share that with our television audience, please.
Yeah, yeah. So the comment was, is that is why the utility companies, when you see workers sitting in the shade or off, to the side, looking like they're not doing anything, what they're actually doing is following these rules for on again, off again work based on the temperature index outside, um, and that it's strictly followed in other industries like the utilities. Unfortunately, this is not, like I said, in construction, but we're working towards it. So most construction projects that you see nowadays have some sort of shaded area, lunch area or whatever, break area that people can go to and be in the shade if they need to. That's somewhat based on this type of thing. Um, and actually, Sarah's husband is an APS employee, so she could probably speak to that. Um, the other part that I thought was interesting was this particular document, which came from National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, actually used Arizona for their little case study. Um, and they talked about a crew was shoveling at 113 degrees in a mine. They were rotating 10-minute shifts. They were hydrating. They were doing all these things, and they still had a couple of people that had some problems with heat. And what it basically talks about is that even if you do everything right, you still have to watch out for it. And the reason this didn't become a serious incident is because all of the employees were aware that they have to look out for each other when it comes to the heat related issues. So I thought it was pretty interesting. But anyway, so um, we keep an eye on it every day. We try to make sure and that everybody's hydrated. We can only control so much of it, but we do provide a shaded area for people to work. Our employees at this point are inside the building, and the buildings are cooled for the most part. So this summer, we hope to not have any incidents of heat, at least on this particular project. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to add, we also start as soon as the sun rises. So I know early mornings can be a little cumbersome if you're hearing all this construction equipment going off, but that's something else that we do to mitigate heat illness uh, issues. Is we'll start as soon as the sun rises at 5:30, just to make sure that the guys can start as soon as they can while it's still cool, and then they leave at a decent hour at the end of the day.
I think you'll also find too that most of the construction craft employees that are out there putting in work are much more cognizant of this stuff nowadays and take a little bit better care of themselves for the most part when they go home, which can obviously have a big effect on what happens the next day. So, any thoughts, questions on safety, this or anything else safety related? No? All right. Very good. Well, then let's. I love this picture, by the way. I put it up because look at there's no dirt pile for the first time in a long, long time. There's no dirt pile there, so I wanted to make sure and include that. But let's watch the drone video. So this will be for both Inspirata and Vita, and we'll just let it play. So you can see some of the work in the courtyard. Obviously, that's the top of the garage. Some of that gray down there. Um, you've got our gas line that we've been talking about for a couple of months. We're still working through that. Um, you can see most of the balconies have the metal on them. The railings are on them. The shade screens, sliding screens are on most of them. At this point, we're working in here now on grade, getting ready for some of the rest of the exterior hardscape and landscaping to go in. That's the insulators. Um, so really, and you'll see a lot in the progress photos when they show up. There is a lot of drywall related stuff going on at various stages. So we'll see some of that. So the exterior is really pretty darn close. We've got some tile going on balconies. It's at various stages, but it is really close to being wrapped up on that building. Here's the courtyard. We're getting ready for big planter boxes to go in. That's what those squares are. Um, and then over here we get to some of the other hardscape areas we're working on. Our illustrious trash chute right there.
All that orange interduct. The orange interduct, that's what is running underground. That's all your internet lines, your phone lines, low voltage.
You're gonna fly in.
No, he doesn't fly all the way in. He gets close. You can see the courtyard there outside the restaurants. You can see Sarah
That's
right
Vita
here.
Center. That's me.
That's her. That's Glenn flying the drone. Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, yeah. So, like I said, for those of you who just got here, we open our building officially, passed the inspection on Thursday with the county's toughest building inspector, and we're super excited to get this all turned over. We're still we just took the dumpster off site on Friday. All the landscaping is done. We installed the landscaping irrigation controller Friday. Everyone was trying to get out of there before the holiday weekend. Final cleaners were there. We do need to fix that.
We've got some still shots too that
Yeah.
you can talk to with.
Yep,
as well.
irrigation controller is that box he's mounting on the building, but what else? We got so it was a crazy week last week. We got the water meter installed. I think it was Tuesday. Got the backflow preventer certified later on that day. Had water turned onto the building. Finally got the toilets flushing. Water's running through all the sinks. It was a race to the finish line, but we got it all done. We had to patch some drywall. I learned how to do that and put some mud and tape all the wall. But I'm super excited that we finished this building. The pool room looks great. The final cleaners were here Thursday and Friday. It doesn't look like a construction site anymore if you're walking around inside the building. So there's 6 medical treatment rooms. We'll probably have some photos in the presentation, but it's gonna be good. And there's a hair salon and your nail salon, and it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, Sarah is underselling what she did last week. It's we had the head building official who the first words out of his mouth were why he's not going to pass us. Right, that's the first thing he walked up and said is I don't have, and it was for a piece of a paper that he had already received. Right, but Sarah had so just to give some context. Sarah is the field engineer on the Vita Center. She is the only engineer over there. So she's from a Sundt engineer standpoint, she's in charge of everything Vita. We normally would pair that with a superintendent, which we did in Kelly Wiley, who has come to one of these or a couple of these. Kelly's wife had a baby on the 21st, and we could not get our final inspection before the baby because we didn't have the water meter from EPCOR yet. And so by the time EPCOR got around to giving us the water meter, Kelly is home with mom and new baby, and Sarah was left as the lone person standing at Vita Center and brought it all the way across the finish line on her own.
All right, thank you.
So pretty amazing. And dealing with Henry, who, as she said, is the more difficult of the county inspectors. So we have temporary certificate of occupancy. It will become full certificate on a couple of things that we have to finish. But yeah, the building is occupiable.
Yeah.
So big week last week.
Big week. And this is my first project, So super, super proud of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
So we're super proud of Sarah and everything she did. So I want to make sure and bring her today. And we'll go through some photos. I got a few of the two buildings, building D and E, that we're still working on, and a bunch of her building, so she can talk to it a little bit more. Um, and then yeah, shout out and raise your hand if you had any questions. So this is building D and E. Obviously, the exterior is not going to change a lot from here on out, other than the number of these balconies and some of that trim sort of stuff that's up. But all the windows are in, stucco's on, everything's relatively done on the outside, and then we'll patch back in where the trash chute is. But the exterior is looking really good. This is a screenshot. I've become addicted to looking at the camera since it's pointed right at this. Uh, so this is actually from Monday. This is a screenshot. That's why nobody's there. Like I said, you've got your planter boxes that are being formed out there. The footings are already placed. That's the top of the garage, and um, and then you've got basically metal planters that come up and sidewalk and hardscape that goes all around it. So we'll be placing some black concrete in that area on Friday. Um, Graphite, I should say, not black, but it looks pretty black. But that's I can't remember the exact date those planters come. They're being fabricated right now. So, um, but that's what you'll see over the next couple of weeks in there. Here is sort of mid-process before we place the footings. They're all placed. You can see some rebar in the bottom of the hole, um, and those are all poured now. On the interior of the building, you got different stages. So let me go back to here. So this wing or pod is the furthest along. This one has appliances going in. West wing, yep. The west wing has appliances going in. This morning, it's drywalled, it's painted. Uh, Cabinets, yeah, backsplashes are going in. Cabinets are in first, second, and third floor. They're putting in cabinets on the fourth floor. Countertops are going in as well, um, at various stages in first, second, and third. And like I said, all the appliances are going in. So this is really close to done. Flooring is in. This wing's really close. Uh, this east wing is basically got drywall going on everywhere. It's the furthest. This is your building E. It is the last one to finish. So it's in the stages of drywall, and then it'll be tape textured, and then move on to the cabinets. And this north wing up here has got texture going on the first floor. It's got taping on the second and maybe third, and the fourth, and the fourth they are drywalling. We're getting ready to be done drywalling pretty soon. So that one's a little further along in the east. So when I show you these pictures, uh-oh, what happened? There we go. When I show you these pictures, now you have some context. This is probably the west wing, right? Because we got appliances and all that, and it's furthest along. So if you're in building D, in sort of the area that is the southernmost part of the building D, which is shaped like a U, this is what that building looks like right now, as of about a week ago. It's got shower doors in, it's got vanities in, it's got toilets. It's getting really close to complete. If you are in building E, which is the last building to finish, it looks like this, right? It's being drywalled, but it's not been taped yet or textured or painted. Make sense? And this, I showed this. This is an empty electrical box. They're not really, most of them are not very empty. We have power on, lights on, air conditioning on in the west wing and in the north wing, and we are actually should be able to power one of the elevators by next week, to get that going, which the appliance people will appreciate. Um, and because the third and fourth floor, that's quite a trek. But but yeah, so we're working a lot behind the scenes to make sure all the systems are working as well. And then we have some finishing touches that the the restaurants and bar areas needed, like that fountain. So that fountain is in now. This banquette, that's all in, I believe, now too. So that was a little bit old. And so anything that was, as things are hanging out there and arriving in town or whatever they were waiting on, we're putting those in as well. Anybody been to the this group has been to the restaurant yet? Maybe. Yeah. What do you guys think? You like it? Tur- Turned out beautiful. We're super proud of it. Uh, I think I said this last month. I'll say it definitively. I've been at Sundt for 20 years. That is probably the prettiest building that I've done. Most of the stuff we do is commercial office and big construction stuff. It's not that kind of stuff. So it's. I think we're all very very proud of how that thing turned out. So right, Sarah?
Yeah, super proud. Beautiful.
Um,
Food is so good.
use your mic.
Food is so good.
There is a picture. I should have put it in here of Sarah and Lisa with a dessert in their hand, and it is the greatest picture. It's like a selfie with this giant dessert and their two faces there. Um, but okay, any questions on those buildings? Yes, sir. Yes. So the question is, thank you, Larry, for the question. The question is, with what I described progress-wise, can building D be occupied before building E? From the standpoint of construction, yes, our intent is that we will get our final clearances on building D before we get them on E. Because building D has its own elevators, so we're allowed to do that. You cannot go in reverse order. You can't open E before D because E does not have its own elevator in that pod. So that's the difference. So yes, that's what we are definitely trying to do, which is why D is ahead of E. Yes. So the question is, would that include north and west? Yeah, I don't see if they'll let us break that in half. Um, that'd be even better. I don't think the county would let us do that. There's not a natural sort of between D and E. You've got those bridges, so it's a natural point where you can close off access. There isn't really that in D. So I think we need both north and west in order to open D. Any other good question? Any other questions? Yes, sir. The projection on D. So the question is, what are the projection on D and E? And I'll bring up the slide I usually do at the end. Um, but the projection on D and E right now, our schedule is showing mid to late September for those. Now that said, do I think we can get into D potentially before that? Maybe, maybe. We got to get those elevators on. We got to clear some hurdles. The west wing is certainly going to be ready before that. It's a matter of if we can get the north wing there. Um, but but yeah, the last I looked, we were about the third week of September was when we were showing that all done. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. 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 Hmm. Yeah. 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 Yeah, that's the comment, and I'm just going to summarize what you said there a little bit so people can hear. If you couldn't hear, the comment was a very good, valid comment that it could potentially slow down construction to open up the west wing without the north wing because they are all one area. We would have to do a lot of work to safe off the one wing from the other in order to get the county to let us do that. And like I said, I don't think they would anyway. Um, so we consider west and north as one building. So we're working to catch north up with west, is the way we look at it. Um, and that's a very valid point and correct. And then the other comment was potential for seeing the units in the west wing because they will be done first from the west entrance, and that's really that's once we get to that point, then we'll work with Gretchen and Royal Oaks, and if that's possible, then we support what Royal Oaks wants to do there with that. Good questions. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Yeah, that's a good question. I was looking at the rendering the other day, and the rendering doesn't look exactly like what we've got on our plans to build. So similar, yes. I don't know if there'll be. I don't know how similar. Similar that they're long and rectangle and fountainy. So they're not going to be drastically different, but I'm not sure exactly how similar. The rendering shows like a leading edge fountain, which is not what we're building. So that's why I'm uh, I'm stumped a little on exactly how similar. My guess is that yes, they're going to look pretty close. Yes, sir. Yeah. So the question was: are the windows installed in the residences? They offer any UV protection? Are they tinted or coated or things of that nature? And the short answer is yes. Exactly what that level is, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But we can look it up. That's why we bring the iPad, and we can look that up. But yeah, they are. Best I can describe it is how if you've got a car that's got pretty good tint, not like super dark, but pretty good tint, it's letting light in, but it doesn't feel like it's like blazing on you. That to me is what it feels like in the units, right? Like it's letting light in, but it's not searing through me in 110 degrees. Yes, ma'am.
That building was built under the International Energy Conservation Code, and that does have requirements that the windows meet certain UV requirements as well as heat gain,
Mhm.
defrost coefficient, those sort of things. So it was built, and I do know it was checked for that. So
Yeah, yeah. She's exactly right. The comment was the building was built under the we call the IBC. It's the International Building Code, and it dictates a certain level of UV protection and energy efficiency in those windows. Um, so yeah, that's 100% correct. They are built for that. All right. All right, I'm going to let Sarah describe Vita to you. Some of these pictures, with as fast as that building was coming together, are a little bit. I mean, a few days makes a world of difference in the pictures of the building of that building last week. So they're about a week old. So I'll let Sarah describe them and then update you on them.
Sure.
Why don't you start while we're on this picture with what's going on here, Sarah?
So over on this storefront right here, this is an eyebrow. There's two sets of eyebrows on this window, and that's going into the gym area. So when you're working out or doing your physical therapy, you have this nice view of outside with all the landscaping. It's going to look really nice. While we were painting the aluminum, one of our pieces of equipment got a little stuck and actually like just banged up the lower eyebrow a little bit. So we replaced that aluminum piece, the brake metal. And I have our painter scheduled to come out, but we wanted to get the landscaping and everything finished. Um, So that's the story on that window
Yeah.
area.
So you're going to see some work basically on the outside of here for a little bit, um, but it's uh,
Cosmetic.
it's cosmetic and it's on the outside. So
Okay, so this is the Vita Center. This is what I've been doing for the last, I don't know, October is when I officially got assigned to this building. So over here, who's familiar with the floor plan or the building a little bit? Yeah. All right. Beautiful building. So over here in the white, that's your pool room. So you have all these big, nice architectural, just beautiful windows. When you're inside the pool room, it just has this cool like shadow effect. It's really nice when you're going in there for physical therapy. This is the picture on the right is the main entrance. You got the nice Rulon wood ceiling, decorative wood ceiling as you walk in. Next slide. Here's some more exterior photos. So this this photo on the left, I was actually out there with the surveyor Friday. We this is your retention basin, and then the overflow needs to make it over that little ledge into the overflow area. So we had to go with the surveyor late last week. It was like super hot outside. He's standing there with his stakes, and I'm taking pictures of everything. But we needed to make sure that this little pile of riprap right here was lower than the top of curb. It's just this whole civil engineer thing, so it works. Everything was built perfectly. Um, there was a lot of interesting stormwater retention details in this project that I just blew me away. I learned so much about site work, concrete, grading, so that was fun. So this over here, this photo, this is an existing storm channel, and it was on the design. It would look like it was going to attach to a sidewalk, but the way that sloped, it wouldn't have connected to a sidewalk properly with the ADA requirements. So we ended up asking the engineer how to terminate this, and we just did this nice rip wrap so it would flow into the retention right by the Friendship House.
Sarah, can you talk a little bit more about that storm channel there? I think a lot of our residents think that that's a sidewalk. And can
Oh.
you explain to them
Yeah.
why that's not a sidewalk?
It's not a sidewalk. It's a way to route all the stormwater into the retention. The reason it's not a sidewalk, I think there's certain requirements in order to meet ADA, in order to make sure it doesn't slope a certain amount for it to be legally considered a sidewalk.
And it's also not even wide enough
It's not wide enough as well
to be a
right.
sidewalk. That doesn't meet the ADA
Right.
requirements for width either.
So it's nice, I guess, to I don't know if you're allowed to walk on it. I guess if you want, I don't know. Are you allowed to walk on
People do walk on it, but
Okay.
but it's not intended to be a sidewalk.
it? Right. Or even
But I
somewhere
have-
to take your bike or your, especially now with the rock at the end of it.
Yes. No, it was never intended to be a sidewalk, but I have seen residents use it as a sidewalk.
yeah, the cross slope, you have to have 2% cross slope on your path of travel. So anything more than that is potentially dangerous, right? So that's where when Sarah says the slope is not per ADA requirements, that's what she's talking about. And then when you add in that it's not wide enough, it could be hazardous to walk on that spot. All right, what's
Okay.
inside?
All right, here's some interior photos. So when you first walk into the building, the picture on the left, you go to this nice reception area. The building, as John said, a couple of days makes a huge difference. It's wide open now. So that nice reception desk, I guess when you walk in and you say hi, I'm here for my appointment, you can go up to the reception and they'll direct you where to go. And then on the photo on the right, it's the enclosed walkway. It's a long hallway that onto the when you turn into the door on the left, that's where all the exam rooms are. This is photos of the salon. So when you first walk into Vita Center, on the left-hand side, there's the salon entrance. You can get your hair done, you can get your nails done. They have a manicure table and a pedicure chair. And then there's going to be 2 hair washing stations and then hair dryers, the whole 9 yards. That equipment, unfortunately, it's a special order. It'll arrive in August, so that's when you'll see the salon
Yeah,
being
these two.
completely installed. But we have all this millwork. There's going to be a fancy salon sink right on top of that countertop right there. But this area, once we get all the equipment, it'll be open probably around August. It does.
The question was, for those that couldn't hear it, does the main entrance face to the south when you orient yourself? And it does. Vita. So the question is, who all gets to use the salon?
Definitely you, Elmer.
Yeah. Elmer, anyone can use the salon. The salon in the main building will still stay open, the one that's up by near the lobby. But the salon that's in the Friendship House and the one that was in the Illingworth Center are closing. We learned during COVID that it wasn't a good idea to have a salon in the licensed space because regulation forced us to close it. So we wanted to have a salon on that end of campus because salon workers were not considered essential workers. You might remember that term. Only essential workers could work during COVID. And so we wanted to make sure that we had a salon on that side of campus for that would be able to stay open and wouldn't be subject to the regulations should another pandemic occur. So the question was, would residents in a wheelchair be transported over there? So if there's a resident in a wheelchair that lives in the main building or is in our existing care center, they would likely still just come down to the main salon. It's closer. But if there's somebody over in the Illingworth Center or living in a garden home on that side of campus or in the Friendship House, they would be taken over. Yes, to the salon in the Vita Center.
Oh.
Yeah, so the comment was that Elmer's having a hard time getting his hair cut because he just can't
Yeah.
seem to connect with the stylist.
That's right.
We'll sign you up. I'll make sure you get an appointment. Okay, go ahead.
You should.
Oh, I found whoever had the question about the window UV rating. So it's we have a 50% transmittance rate, a UV value 0.30 for all the residential windows. I don't either. I don't either. But that's something that was. Okay.
So the comment was that the interest in the UV is based on that some fabrics can potentially fade with an abundance of UV exposure.
I'll bring a handout next time that will help explain that.
Okay, great,
Thank
great.
you.
So we've got a handout for next time
Thank you.
to help explain the UV rating. That's fantastic.
All right, here's some more interior photos of Vita Center. So the photo on the left, that's the medical assistance office. They'll have all their computer equipment and everything set up. We did a walk with them last week, and they were measuring where they wanted to put all their furniture and their desks and their cabinets. So that's the photo on the left, and that's right when you walk into the treatment room kind of walkway hallway area. And the photo on the right hand side, that's also if you can see, there's like carpet squares. That's temporary flooring. That's also in the salon area. This is the salon workroom. So whoever's working in the salon, they'll have this spot in there, like right off to the side. There's going to be a washer and dryer. We have a washer and dryer that just got delivered Thursday. So that'll be in this room as well. All right. The photo on the left is when you walk into Vita Center and you're turning right to go to the gym. You'll have a water cooler there. There's a staff kitchen on the left. There's some locker rooms on the right, and then straight ahead is the we call it the physical therapy PTOT, physical therapy occupational therapy room, or the gym. The photo on the right, all of that. There's some appliances that are freshly installed as of last week. That space is wide open now for all the gym equipment that's going to be installed.
Yeah, so none of this stuff is there if you went in there today, right? That's all been installed.
And then you'll have a reception desk as well on this side. I guess if you have an appointment or if you have a question, there will be somebody sitting in that area to help you. Okay. And then once you go into the gym, immediately on your right hand side, there's the pool room. So we have some caution tape up. We're gonna keep that up until we officially turn it over and we start using that pool room, just so nobody doesn't realize that there's a pool there. Um, but we tested everything. There's a hydraulic lift, so you could access the pool in your wheelchair. There's some stairs. I think there's like 6 different areas that people could get into this pool, and there's jets and there's pumps and there's a treadmill, so you could really get your workout on in there. And then the photo on the right is a shower room right off to right when you're exiting or entering into the pool area, with some shelves and some grab bars, a nice little storage bench for all your stuff.
Good.
And those are those big long windows from the exterior photo. That was the white part of the building. So, oh, and I don't know if you could see this, but this is a floor hatch. All the pool pit equipment, all the it's called Exceptional Waters. They have this like AquaZone. All their pool cleaning equipment is located pretty much in a basement under the pool, and you access it. Well, nobody here will do that. Hopefully, it'll just be maintenance, but they can climb down through that floor hatch. There's 2 of them on that side and the other corner. All right.
No, it's
Yeah.
great. And then don't forget these
Oh yeah, those are some
origami
origami
lights.
origami custom light fixtures, and those were like the last things to arrive to get installed. They took a while to get.
All right, and then
Sean, before you
yes.
leave the Vita Center, we have a question from our television audience.
Fantastic.
Okay.
And actually, I think it's directed at me.
Okay.
A resident wants to know if we're going to provide transportation to the Vita Center, and I can tell you that a lot of the residents who will be using the Vita Center will come from our care center, and those will be scheduled with transportation, like a medical appointment would be, because a lot of those residents might need to go in the van, in a wheelchair, and so we will be scheduling transportation over to the Vita Center. You know, the Vita Center is an area that you wouldn't just go into on your own. You would have an appointment to go there for your physical therapy or to go to the salon, perhaps. But if you're going to be using the physical therapy side, or you have an appointment with a provider who's over there, the tram that runs around campus will still be running on the bus schedule. As you know, that schedule has been published. But if you have a specific need to go from your home to the Vita Center, you could schedule that with transportation, just like any other medical appointment.
Very good. Good. And then the last picture I included, I couldn't help myself. I thought this was too cute not to include. So Glenn, who you remember, he is our official drone pilot, who you've met a couple of times. He is the Arizona Biltmore now, but he was back on site last week to fly the drone. And then obviously there's Sarah out in the field and happy with her completed
I was
building.
so excited to see him. He left like a couple weeks ago, and this team has just been awesome. So he came out just to do the drone photo and the video. So I was like, I gave him a big hug, and I was like, we passed inspection. I was so excited, I was crying. Yeah.
Yes, sir, Elmer. So the question is, how much use will this circle have for the people that have to come in? And the answer is basically none. Actually, so we hope none. If I go to this, you can see there's gates right there. That is simply a fire turnaround for the firefighters. So we hope none at all, essentially. Um, but if you remember, there's more, campus plans for up in here. So this loop is meant to go all the way around campus when it eventually. But in the place of that, this is what the fire department required for their trucks to turn around.
Awesome.
Any other questions on Vita or anything else? We will. Let's talk about upcoming work a little bit. So, um, a lot of what you're seeing is going to be in the courtyard area here, and we're working our way out. And by the end of July, we'll be out of there and out of you can't see it, but the other side of the building, that area, and working our way around the front of the building. So basically, they're working from a dirt and concrete and sidewalks and landscaping standpoint from the interior out. When we first scheduled it out, we had that all done uh, within June and July. Um, it's going to be still pretty close to that. We had some basically some details that didn't work is the best way I can put it. Sometimes what looks good on paper doesn't work when you actually start digging a hole or doing stuff. And we had some issues with the planter boxes that they didn't quite work. They were supposed to be all at the same level, which is great, except for that you still need the courtyard to drain, right? So the courtyard sloping, the planter boxes have to slope. And so everything had to be recalculated to where it would all still look pretty much level, but everything will drain out of the courtyard. Um, so that put us back about a week or so while that was all being figured out. Yes, sir. On the other side, so okay, uh, okay, here.
Right here?
Here. So yeah, so the question is, I believe, and Elmer, correct me if I'm wrong. This sidewalk here comes to here and then stops. Is that the one you're talking about?
Oh, right here.
Um, yeah, that's basically not for residents. That's for if you have to come in here with a truck to get to the switch gear or anything else like that. You- Yeah, there is. I mean, there's a door here, and then you've got a door over here that gets you into the stairwell and the elevator that goes down to the storage area for all the kitchen stuff. So yeah, all of that. The back of house kitchen is all accessible back through here. So this pathway stays decomposed granite, stabilized granite, so it doesn't get paved. But yeah, it's so you can get a vehicle back there for back of house stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Good question. Yes, sir. Are you talking about the question is on entering the garage and where there's some garbage units and some trucks stored? Are you talking inside the garage or are you talking down here? Yep, right here. Yep. built for that. Okay. So the question is basically if you're coming into the garage this way, this corner right here, so you've got the south cul-de-sac down here. This corner has become a spot where garbage dumpsters are kept, and it's a popular parking spot for golf carts, trucks, maintenance type of things, potentially our workers, which we obviously don't want them parking there. But um, that's
Sean, I
it's
can elaborate on that a
yeah,
little. It was our original intended. The question was about the dumpsters and why isn't there an area for them to sit? And I can answer that. In our original design, we had a trash compactor,
okay,
and that upon further study, and the trash compactor was going to be over by our existing employee parking garage, where the trash containers now sit. And when Darren arrived and when he further studied the idea of the trash compactor, it just wasn't going to work. It wasn't feasible for us. And so, and we were already far enough along in design that we just had to make this work. So we're still looking for ideas of maybe there's an area that we can carve out for those dumpsters, but that's why it wasn't in the original design, Harvey.
yeah. 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 So yeah, so the question is, Harvey, that's a good question. The question is if you see there are areas where there's empty pots in the ground and there's areas where there's trees that have died that we've pulled out and haven't been replaced yet. And Sarah can actually speak to this firsthand, but yes, there are certain um, they don't like us planting stuff right now because it's so hot, essentially. And so there are certain things that we are having to wait to replace or wait to plant until the weather gets better. You want to?
Yes, in the fall, right? And we did do a phase two. Oh, hi, hi. Sorry, we did a phase two landscaping punch list. I think it was two Fridays 2 weeks ago, and we noted all the plants that weren't planted in front of the Azul restaurant. And I had to leave that punch list, but the landscape designer and our team continued around, and the reason they probably removed those trees is because he pointed out, hey, those need to be replanted. And yes, we do need to wait until the weather cools down. So we have already probably have the other specimens picked out, or we're going to replace them with the same species. Is just waiting till the weather cools down.
Yes, ma'am.
Along that same line, if you go to the end of building C and go to the west property line, there is one of the trees there that is probably at a 45-degree angle instead of a 90-degree angle.
Mm.
That looks to me as if it might be something to be addressed sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we have it on our plan grid punch list. So we'll go through and we stamp everything that is identified that we walk around and we say, hey, this isn't the best quality. We'll replace this or fix this.
I don't know that you want to let that one wait until fall. Is all I'm saying.
We
Yeah, because
probably
it could fall
okay.
over. Yeah.
Okay, let me take a look.
So yeah, we can take a look and see where that's at. Um, so let's talk upcoming work for a few minutes. And great questions. Please keep them coming. Basically, this is the same map we've been using the whole time. Everything is turned over except for the two buildings in red. Uh, I leave this as in progress, but like I said, we are tracking for September, is where those are tracking. We should be done with this one first, um, and I'd like to say it's going to be sooner than that, and then this one in mid to late September. Uh, all signs point to that direction. Obviously, there are things that happen at times, but we feel pretty good about that. Um, and that definitely this building D is coming along really nicely. So so we're tracking that progress and should be out of here by fall. As you can see, we've started to pare down some of our folks to their next assignments too, just in anticipation of that. So that's usually a good sign that we're getting pretty close. Uh, Vita Center upcoming work is really just punch work. Actually, as soon as we get done here, Sarah is going over to the Vita Center to walk the punch list over there with the design team. So, so that's really just a matter of punch list work, which for those, I assume everybody knows what I mean by punch list, but it would be just little odds and ends that either need to be replaced or repaired because they're not up to the quality standard, or because we had to put in a temporary carpet tile because the carpet that is specified was not available yet, and swapping that out is things like that. Not essential things, but things that have to be done for us to be complete. So that's what is going on in Vita. And as far as upcoming work on the Inspirata side, as I said, we're working our way out from here over to here, and then out and around on the exterior. And on the interior, it's this seemingly never-ending cycle of drywall, tape, texture, paint, cabinets, flooring, appliances. Right? That's happening in every single part of that building right now to a different phase. Um, so, any other questions? Yes.
Will you be issuing 60-day letters only after they get the C of O? Or will you be issuing them in anticipation of?
No, we will not be issuing the 60-day notices in anticipation of C of O. The question was, when will we issue the 60-day notices? Will we issue them before C of O, and we will be issuing them once we have some form of C of O.
Any other questions? All right. Sarah, any last thoughts?
So this is my last week, and I just wanted to say Royal Oaks has been just so wonderful to work with. Gretchen and Darren and Carter, they've been just instrumental in my time here. They're so understanding, they're so nice, they're so patient, and so just I loved every day coming to work. So thank you for everything. This is my last week. I'm my last day's tomorrow. I leave.
So Sarah is, not to interrupt, but Sarah is Air Force, and she's in the reserves after 7 years active duty, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so she actually goes to her yearly reserve assignment Friday. You can tell them where you're going.
Yeah, I'm going to Germany for 2 weeks. So yeah, super excited. Never been. But yeah, that's pretty big. But this was way more important. And then.
So she's doing that, and then she's going to where?
I will. My new project will be in Goodyear. I'll be at the Compass Data Center. So we'll be building 4 large, huge buildings with um, all this high tech equipment for all the data center storage.
So
Yeah.
very
But it's
good.
been great working here. Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for coming, and again for your support. We appreciate it, and that's our update.